up? Jay here. Welcome to Beginning Drums, Chapter 23. Okay, we're going to keep exploring the 16th note triplet for our rhythms for this chapter, and we're going to just be maxing them out here. We'll definitely have a lot of that rhythms coming at us, along with our other rhythms we've learned so far, like 16th notes, 8th note triplets, 8th notes, and quarter notes, and all the rests. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with number 1. For this one, we're going to have a whole note rest on bar 1, and then bar 2 is going to be 4 beats of 16th note triplet. So that's going to be like a 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet. Bar 3 is going to have 8th notes for beat 1, a quarter note on beat 2, 8th notes for beat 3, and a quarter note rest for beat 4. Bar 4 is going to have 16th notes for beats 1 and 2, a quarter note rest for beat 3, and a quarter note on beat 4. Okay, here comes number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet, 1 and 2, 3 and rest, 1 E and a 2 E and a rest, 4. Okay, I'm going to just be doing these one time, but I recommend repeat all these 4 to 8 times and try out your different tempos, slow, medium, and fast. Let's take a look at number 2. For this one, we're going to start off with a 16th note triplet on beat 1, a quarter note on beat 2, quarter note rest on beat 3, and an 8th note triplet on beat 4. Bar 2 is a whole note rest. Once we get to bar 3, on the downbeat of 1, we'll have an 8th note rest. We'll hit the end of that beat. 16th note triplet on beat 2, quarter note rest on beat 3, and a quarter note on beat 4. On bar 4, we have 16th notes on beat 1, a 16th note triplet on beat 2, 8th notes on beat 3, and a 16th note triplet on beat 4. Here comes number 2. 1, 2, triplet, 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 1 triplet and triplet, 2, rest, 4 triplet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 triplet and triplet, rest, 4, 1 E and a 2 triplet and triplet, 3 and 4 triplet and triplet. Okay, I also want to point out, make sure that you're rotating your sticks, get it in a good balance of both your hands. Let's go ahead and take a look at number 3. For this one, we're going to start off on beat 1 with an 8th note rest. We'll hit the end of that beat. We have an 8th note triplet on beats 2 and 3 with a quarter note rest on beat 4. Bar 2 has a half note rest for beats 1 and 2, a 16th note triplet on beat 3, 8th notes on beat 4. Bar 3 has a half note rest for beats 1 and 2, 16th note on beat 3, and a 16th note triplet on beat 4. Once we get to bar 4, we're going to have a 16th note triplet on beat 1, a quarter note rest on beat 2, 16th note triplet on beat 3, and a quarter note on beat 4. Here comes number 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and rest, and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, rest, 1, 2, 3 triplet and triplet, 4, and 1, 2, 3 and a 4 triplet and triplet, 1 triplet and triplet, rest, 3 triplet and triplet, 4. I'm going to play number 3 a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 triplet, 3 triplet, rest, 1, 2, 3 triplet and triplet, 4, and 1, 2, 3 and a 4 triplet and triplet, 1 triplet and triplet, rest, 3 triplet and triplet. Okay, cool. Let's take it to number 4. For number 4, we're going to have 16th notes for the full first bar. We're going to have all 8th note triplets for bar 2. We'll have a whole note rest on bar 3, and then all 16th note triplets for bar 4. Here comes number 4. 1, 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, rest, 2, 3, 4, 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet. All right, let's go ahead and go to number 5. For this one, we're going to start off on beat 1 with an 8th note rest. We'll hit the end of that beat. Same concept for beat 2, 8th note rest, hit the end of the beat. We have a 16th note triplet on beat 3, a quarter note on beat 4. For bar 2, we'll have a 8th note rest on the downbeat of 1. We'll hit the end of that beat. 8th note triplet on beat 2. Similar concept for beat 3 and 4 with an 8th note rest on the downbeat of 3. We'll hit the and then we'll do an 8th note triplet on beat 4. For bar 3, we have a 16th note triplet on beat 1, quarter note rest on beat 2, 16th note triplet on beat 3, 8th notes on beat 4. For bar 4, we have 8th notes on beat 1, a quarter note rest on beat 2, with a half note rest for beats 3 and 4. Here comes number 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 triplet and triplet, 4, 1 and 2 triplet, 3 and 4 triplet, 1 triplet and triplet, rest, 3 triplet and triplet, 4, and 1 and rest, 3, 4. All right, let's take it to number 6. For number 6, we're going to start off with a quarter note on beat 1, quarter note rest on beat 2, quarter note on beat 3, and a 16th note triplet on beat 4. Bar 2 is a whole note rest. Bar 3 has 16th note triplets on beat 1 and 2 with quarter notes on beats 3 and 4. Bar 4 has a quarter note rest on beat 1. On beat 2, we have an 8th note rest on the downbeat. We'll hit the end of that beat. Quarter note rest on beat 3, and then a 16th note triplet on beat 4. Okay, here comes number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, rest, 3, 4 triplet and triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet and triplet, 2 triplet and triplet, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4 triplet and triplet. Okay, let's take it to number 7. For number 7, we're going to start off with 8th note triplets for beats 1 and 2 with a half note rest for beat 3 and 4. On bar 2, we have a half note rest for beats 1 and 2, a 16th note triplet on beat 3 with a quarter note on beat 4. For bar 3, we have on beat 1, 8th note rest on the downbeat. We'll hit the end of that beat. 16th notes for beat 2, an 8th note triplet on beat 3, 16th notes on beat 4. Bar 4 has a quarter note on 4, quarter note rest on beat 2, 16th note triplet on beat 3, and a quarter note rest on beat 4. Okay, here comes number 7. 1, 2, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet, 2 triplet, rest, rest. 1, 2, 3 triplet and triplet, rest. 1 and 2 E and a 3 triplet, 4 E and a 1, rest. 3 triplet and triplet, rest. Okay, let's do the last one, number 8. This one's going to start off with a whole note rest for bar 1. On bar 2, we're going to have a half note rest for beats 1 and 2, a quarter note rest on beat 3. On beat 4, we'll have an 8th note rest on the downbeat. We will hit the end of that beat. Okay, on beat 1 of bar 3, we have another 8th note rest on the downbeat. We'll hit the end of that beat, and then followed by 16th note triplets for beats 2, 3, and 4. On bar 4, we have a 16th note triplet on beat 1, a quarter note rest on beat 2, 8th notes on beat 3, and a quarter note on beat 4. Here's number 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. Rest, 2, 3, 4. And 1, and 2 triplet and triplet, 3 triplet and triplet, 4 triplet and triplet, 1 triplet and triplet, 2, 3, and 4. All right, a lot of resting there and then a lot of faster notes. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the rudiment of the chapter. Today we're going to learn the Pataflafla, one of my favorite names for a rudiment. Okay, so think of it this one like a 4-note pattern with flams on the first and last note. Okay, so if we think of singles, right, left, right, left. Now if I flam the first and fourth note, we'll have a right flam, so that's left hitting first, right, left, right, and then I'll do a flam with my left, and that's when I hit my right stick first. So that's your Pataflafla. Okay, we're going to build into this one, starting off with just quarter notes, but we'll make them into 16th notes eventually. Okay, so in 4/4 timing, let's just think of it like this. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're just going to flam that first note. So first one's a flam right, left, right, and then a flam left. And then we can flip our sticks and repeat it from there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Flam right, flam left, right, left, flam right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, take a look at number 2. Now we're going to turn them into 8th notes, and we'll be in 2/4 time, so just 2 beats per bar. Okay, same sticking, so we'll go now 1 and 2, and then there'll be a flam right, right, and then a flam left. And if it's too tricky to go right into the repetition of flipping your sticks, just stop and then start over again, starting with the opposite sticking. But I'll try to flip them. 1 and 2, and right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Okay, now for number 3, we're going to turn them into 16th notes. So they're going to sound like this. 1 E and then we'll have a rest on beat 2. So we're still in 2/4 time here. And we're going to flam the first and fourth note. Okay, let's go ahead and try it. 1, 2. Right, left, rest. Left, right, rest. Right, left, rest. Left, right, rest. Okay, let's go ahead and go to number 4. Similar concept, but we're going to do 8th notes on beat 2 with singles. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, E, and right, left, left, right, left, Okay, for the last one, we're just gonna put two pataflaflas back to back, and these are just gonna have the same sticking, and we'll stop and we'll flip our sticks around, and then we'll push our tempo for fun. Here we go. 1 E and a 2 E and a right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, flam, flam, flam. Okay, now here starting with the left. 1 E and a 2 E and a left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay, now here's a little faster for fun. Going back to my right hand lead. All right, and left first. Hello, Jay here. Welcome to Beginning Drums, Chapter 23. Okay, this chapter's beat's going to have plenty of eighth notes. On the bass drum, let's talk about it. On beat 1, we're going to have 8 notes in the bass drum. On beat 2, we'll have a bass drum on the end of 2. Beat 3, we'll have 8 notes in our bass drum, and then we'll have bass drum on the end of 4 too. So basically we have bass drum everywhere except for the downbeats of beats 2 and 4, where our backbeat falls with our snare. Okay, here comes beat number 1. Beat 1's going to start with a hi-hat and a bass drum on the downbeat. This would be the quarter note version. And then on the end of beat 1, we'll hit a bass drum. Beat 2 is going to have snare and hi-hat on the downbeat. We'll hit a bass drum by itself on the end of that beat. And then we'll repeat that process again for the next 2 beats. So beat 3 will start with a bass drum and hi-hat on the downbeat, bass drum by itself on the and, snare and a hi-hat on the downbeat of 4, and a bass drum by itself on the and of 4. Okay, here comes number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, let's look at beat number 2. This is going to be the 8th note version of the beat. On beat 1, we'll have 8 notes in both our hi-hat and our bass drum. 1 and. Downbeat of 2, we'll have snare and hi-hat together. And then we'll hit our bass drum with our hi-hat on the and of 2. And then repeat that again. So we'll have beat 3, 8th notes, both hi-hat and bass drum. 3 and then beat 4, downbeat, snare and hi-hat, bass drum and hi-hat together. Here's beat number 2. 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, for beat number 3, this will be the 16th note version of this beat. We're going to have 8 notes in our bass drum. So for beat 1, it's going to sound like this. 1, E, and on beat 2, we'll start off with our snare on the downbeat and have our bass drum on the end of this beat. 2, E, and then repeating that again for the next 2 beats. So beat 3, 8 notes in our bass drum. 3, E, and then beat 4, starting with our snare backbeat. 4, E, and with the bass drum on the end of that beat. Here's beat number 3. 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and All right, let's do some fills. We're going to have 4 examples here, and what we'll do for each of these is start off on our snare with a particular rhythm. We're going to move that rhythm to the drum set and arrange it somehow on the drum set. And then the third part is for you to make up your own drum fill using those rhythms and writing it on the staff. Okay, let's talk about number 1. This is going to be 16th note triplets for all 4 beats. For part 2, we're going to put these 16th note triplets around the horn. So we're going to put beat 1 on snare, beat 2 on tom 1, beat 3 on tom 2, and then beat 4 on 4 tom. Okay, now it's time for you to write your own fill. And got a lot of notes to play around with here. You got 6 notes on each beat. So if you think about it that way, we have 24 notes altogether. You can get inside and do some subdivisions, and maybe you want to split these up into 3 notes on a particular drum. If you want to put all 6 notes each beat, let's say if we want to start off on beat 1, and if I just want to put a 16th note triplet all floor tom, I'm just going to write that rhythm in, and that floor tom would be our second to bottom space. Let's say if on beat 2 I want to put it on my bass drum, I would just put all those 6 notes down on my bass drum, that's the bottom space. Let's say if I want to split up beat 3, if I want to put tom 1 to tom 2, 3 notes on each, I could just put tom 1 up on the top space and then tom 2 on the second to top line. And then if I want to put a crash for the last 6 notes for beat 4, I'll just put it up on an X on top of the staff and then circle those X's. And then all those rhythms would have 2 flags up top, they go straight across. You're going to see that subdivision in the middle. Those stems go straight up, meet up at the top, and then you'll have those small 3s above each of those triplets. All right, let's look at number 2. This one's going to start off with 16th notes on beat 1, 8th note triplet on beat 2, 16th note triplet on beat 3, and then 8th notes on beat 4. Okay, the way I arrange this one on the drum set, we're going to split up those 16th notes. We're going to put 2 notes on tom 2 and then 2 notes on floor tom. The 8th note triplet on beat 2 is going to go all snare. On beat 3, we're going to split up the 16th note triplet with 3 notes on tom 1 and then 3 notes on snare. And then for the last 8 notes, we're going to do a bass drum and crash on the downbeat of 4, and then on the and of 4, we'll do a choke with the bass drum, reinforcing that. Okay, for number 3, we're going to have an 8th note rest on the downbeat of 1. We'll hit the end of that beat. 16th note triplet on beat 2. We'll have a 8th note rest on the downbeat of 3. We'll hit the 8th note on the end of that beat. And then a quarter note rest on beat 4. The way I arrange this one, we're going to have a bass drum on the and of 1. Now on beat 2, I'm going to go into groups of 2 for the 16th note triplet. We're going to have 2 notes on tom 1, 2 notes on tom 2, and then 2 notes on floor tom. And then on the and of 3, we're going to have a flam on our crash. And then we'll have a 16th note rest on beat 4. It's going to start off with an 8th note triplet on beat 1, a quarter note rest on beat 2, 8 notes on beat 3, and then a 16th note triplet on beat 4. Okay, this is how I put this one on the drum set. For beat 1, we're going to have the first note of this 8th note triplet, tom 1 by itself, then a bass drum, and then a flam on tom 1. Beat 2 is a quarter note rest. On beat 3, we're going to have 8 notes, combination of our snare and crash for both those notes. Okay, now we're going to go into beat 4. This is a 16th note triplet. We'll put 2 notes on tom 2, going to a bass drum for that first triplet, and then 2 notes on floor tom, going to a bass drum for the last part of that triplet. Okay, now we're going to combine our beats and fills. The goal here is to play all 3 of the beats 4 times and then pick any fill and play a 1-bar fill. So for the first examples here, I gave all my arranged or orchestrated drum fills for numbers 1 through 3 as far as the fills go. So for number 1, it's going to be the quarter note beat 4 times going into fill number 1. Okay, now it's time for you to play all 3 beats 4 times and then improvise your own 1-bar drum fill. You can play anything you'd like. It's always good just to play whatever comes to you at that moment, and whatever kind of drum fill you make, it's definitely a cool fill because it came from you. Alright, welcome to the study. Today we're going to talk about train beats. Train beats are really fun beats, excellent as a drummer to play a train beat. They're quite active. They could be different tempos. They're really effective, slow, as well as really burning fast, or just right in the middle too. Okay, now a lot of train beats are going to feature a march concept on our snare. We're going to be doing sticks, but this is also a good one for brushes too. So if you have brushes, check out your train beats with that too. Okay, now a lot of these beats are going to have a rotating foot concept. So if we go our bass drum to our left foot hi-hat, that's going to be our concept on a lot of these beats, not all of them, but that's a good thing to start off for us just to think about is a right foot, left foot concept. Now with your left foot, you can go heel down and just step with your toe. You can go heel up and then you're coming down kind of on your toe, ball of the foot. You can also do a rock with your heel going to your toe, and it's a heel toe concept. It's another fun concept. But whatever feels comfortable for today, feel free to have your heel down and just step. And once we get to the faster tempos, you might want to think about heel up at that time too. Okay, for number 1, we're going to basically get our snare march going, but before we go into 2 hands, this is just going to be all right hand hitting 8th notes in snare, and we're going to come to our left hand to reinforce sort of the backbeat of the train beat here. So here's my right hand by itself. First of all, it's going to be going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Okay, now if I put my left hand down, you could do flams if you like, that's all good, or try to hit them at the same time. Either way is fine for this. Now with my left hand, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, for number 2, we're going to start getting our march in our hands. So this will be just doing some 8 notes, going right, left. Okay, for number 3, we're going to start to put an accent on beat 2 and 4. It's going to give us sort of that back beat. So we're going to start to get that train. It's going to start pumping, especially when we start getting some accents in there. So this one, keep your 8 notes, right, lefts, and then accent beat 2 and 4, and that's when your right hand will fall. Okay, for number 4, now we're going to do that same concept. We have our singles with our hands doing 8 notes, accenting beat 2 and 4. And then our bass drum will now play on 1 and 3, starting to pop that beat out. Okay, for number 5, we're going to have our march and our snare, all singles. We're accenting beat 2 and 4, and now we're going to step with our left foot on beats 2 and 4. Okay, for number 6, we're going to combine our feet. We're going to have our bass drum on 1 and 3, left foot hi-hat on 2 and 4. So that means our feet are rotating. We're going to keep our singles in our hands, right, left, all snare, and we're accenting beats 2 and 4. A lot going on here, but that's a great beat right there. All of these beats are really cool train beats, just so you know. All of them work really well. For number 7, now we're going to do a 16th note kind of march. So we're going to have our bass drum on every beat. We're doing 16th notes in our snare, and we're going to accent every and of the beat. So as we go right, left, that second right will get an accent for this one. Okay, for number 8, here's a cool concept. I'm just going to still keep that same concept of a right, left, but I'm just going to bring my right hand to my snare, and then keeping my left hand on the snare, and then I'm going to bring my right hand back to my snare, opposite beats. So if I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, that's going to give us a cool train beat, and we also get to incorporate a little bit of ride in there too. And this one's also going to have our bass drum on beats 1 and 3. And you'll get a natural accent when you bring that right hand back to your snare. It'll pop out that beat. This is the same concept of bringing that right hand to the right for the downbeats of 1 and 3, and this time we're going to have our bass drum on 1 and 3 and our left foot hi-hat on beats 2 and 4. Now we're going to start doing some exercises with some beats and doing some switches into train beats. So for this one, we're going to do 4 bars of basic quarter note beat into an 8th note train beat. And this one's going to have singles all the way through, bass drums on 1 and 3, and we have our accent on beats 2 and 4. number 11, we're going to do 4 bars of basic quarter note beat into our train beat, and this beat's going to have the rotating feet with our bass drum on beats 1 and 3 and our left foot hi-hat on beats 2 and 4, keeping singles in the snare and accenting beats 2 and 4. Into an 8th note basic rock beat for 4 bars. Switch it over to the all right hand train beat. That's the one where our right hand's doing all the 8th notes and our left hand will come down for beats 2 and 4 to make that back beat, and we'll have our bass drum on beats 1 and 3. For number 13, we're going to do basic 8th note beat 4 times into a singles train beat. That's where we'll be doing right lefts now, and we'll have our bass drum on beats 1 and 3. We're going to start off with a basic 8th note beat for 4 bars and then go into a 16th note train beat. We're going to have our bass drum on every beat, 16th notes singles in your snare, and we're going to be accenting every end of the beat. We're going to start off with 4 bars of an 8th note train beat. We'll have our bass drum on beats 1 and 3, and then all singles in our snare. We're going to switch it over to the train beat where our right hand goes to the right for the down beats of 1 and 3. And we're going to keep that bass drum on beats 1 and 3. For number 16, we're going to start off with a drum fill, and this fill is going to have a quarter note on beat 1, 8 notes on beats 2 and 3, and a quarter note on beat 4. We'll go into 4 bars of a basic quarter note beat. We'll do another drum fill, and this one's going to go around the horn, so we're going to put that quarter note on snare, 8 notes on beat 2, we'll go to tom 1, 8 notes on beat 3, we'll go to tom 2, and then a quarter note on floor tom for beat 4, and then we'll go into our 2-handed march, and that's going to be a train beat with our singles, bass drums on 1 and 3, and we're accenting beats 2 and 4. Number 17, we're going to start off with the drum fill. This is going to have 8 notes on beats 1 and 2, quarter note on beat 3, and then eighth notes on beat 4. That's all snare. And then we'll go into a basic eighth note beat 4 times. We're going to go into a 16th note fill. This is going to have beat 1 all snare, beat 2 is floor tom, beat 3 is tom 1, beat 4 is tom 2, and then we'll go into a 16th note train beat where our bass drum's on every beat. We're doing 16th note with singles on our snare, and we're accenting every end of the beat. Today. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you for chapter 24. Cheers.